Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're so happy that you joined us today, where we will be rediscovering UpSlide for Excel. We will be focusing on our top time-saving features. And before we get started on that, I wanted to introduce our team members that are here with us today. I'm Elizabeth, part of the customer success team here in the New York office, and I'm accompanied by Sebastian, a senior consultant in our London office, and we have Maxime, a support engineer in our Paris office. A few pieces of housekeeping. We are recording this session and we will send it to you afterwards. And any questions that you may have throughout the session, please use the chat feature on the right-hand side to ask them. Seb and Maxine will be monitoring that chat for us. And before we get started, if you notice that my UpSlide ribbon looks a little bit different than your UpSlide ribbon, it might be because you're on an older version of UpSlide. So I'm going to exit out of my presentation and show you how to check which version you're on. So going to your UpSlide ribbon, if you click into your settings on the top bar, over all the way to the right-hand side, a pop-up will appear, and in the first tab, you'll see your version. So if you're on anything below 6.8.25, it's not the latest version. So just reach out to either your account manager at UpSlide or your company admin, and they'll be able to assist you. Okay. Today's agenda, we went over our housekeeping items and introductions. We'll spend the majority of our time today on the Excel to PowerPoint link, and then we'll go into charting tools, specifically around our waterfall charts and Kager arrow, and then we'll leave about 5 minutes for Q&A with Sebastian. We'll start with our Excel to PowerPoint link, but before we get started on that, just a few notes. I'm sure you're adding data to your presentations all the time. And with UpSlide, you're able to create 3 different types of links. So you have your table link, your chart link, and your text link. And when you use those links, it generates a dynamic picture with UpSlide. And what that means is, 1, you're able to update your data quickly and efficiently, but 2, the dynamic picture is extremely light in nature. So you can have as many of them in your presentation as you could possibly want and never have the fear or worry of them breaking. Today, we'll be focusing on linking from PowerPoint to Excel, but as a side note, you're also able to link from Excel to Word. But primarily, we'll be focusing on PowerPoint. Going into edit mode in my next slide, I'm going to show you how to link over each type of link. So what we'll do is first select where we want our export to go. So I'm going to select our placeholder on the left-hand side by clicking into it, going into our Excel, and I'm going to highlight our income statement to start. And now that we have our income statement and the table that we want to link over, I'll go to the UpSlide ribbon, and in the middle of the UpSlide ribbon in our resize and export collection, I'll press the drop-down arrow under PowerPoint, and you'll see 3 different options for our export. Our first one is export to PowerPoint, which will take this income statement exactly as is and export it to the placeholder that we've selected. The second option is resize and export, which will take this income statement and UpSlide will resize it to fit the exact specification of that placeholder. So they'll make the adjustments for us. And then the last option is sizing guide, which allows you to make the adjustments before linking over your data, which I'll show you in a little bit. But to start, I'm going to press resize and export, and our income statement will be linked over to our presentation within seconds, and we'll get a notification at the bottom of our screen saying that our link has been successfully created. You'll notice that our income statement here is added. There's no data that's being cut off. It fits perfectly within that placeholder. Just like we did previously, we'll select our placeholder on the right-hand side by clicking into the box. Going back to our Excel, this time I'm going to click on our gross revenue chart. Going back to our export and resize collection, pressing the drop down, I'm going to choose sizing guide this time. And you'll notice a big orange square wraps around our gross revenue chart. And that is the exact specification of the placeholder and dimension in PowerPoint that we selected. So from here, you're able to manually adjust if you'd like to. But to me, my main concern would be my data being cut off. And since it looks like it fits perfectly within this placeholder, I'm going to let UpSlide do the adjustments for me. So going back into our export and resize collection, I'll press the dropdown and press resize and export again. Going back into our presentation, you'll see our gross revenue chart has been added and it fits perfectly within that placeholder. And it was even adjusted to fill out the placeholder a little bit more. You notice that the chart got a little bit enlarged in one, the placeholder, but two, also in Excel. And that's because anytime something like a formatting change occurs when exporting, it is showcased in both PowerPoint and Excel since it's a one-to-one match. Okay, so now we've done tables and charts. The last link we'll go over is our text link. So what I'll do is highlight our data. Just like before, we're going to indicate where we want our export to go. Go back into Excel, and I'm going to select our date. Our text tool is great for linking over percentages, exact amounts. You could use them for footnotes, dates like we're doing today. But it's important to note that you can really link over anything that fits into one cell. So the world is your oyster when it comes to linking, as long as it fits into one cell for the text export. Okay, clicking on our data, I'm going to go to our drop down for PowerPoint, press export to PowerPoint since it doesn't need to be resized, since it's just text. And we'll get a prompt here. UpSlide intelligently detected that this might be a text link. So we'll confirm that yes, we want it to be a text link and press export. And then back in PowerPoint, we'll notice that our date has been added. If you notice, it kind of looks like a hyperlink, and that is by design. So you're able to easily distinguish and find those text links within your presentation. At any point, if you wanted to hide this, you can go to the Excel data collection at the middle of your UpSlide ribbon, press hide data export, and the hyperlink goes away. What this does is temporarily pauses the link. It doesn't break it, so you can easily go back and unhide the text export at any point. Okay, now we've done each type of link. I'm sure it's guaranteed at some point that you'll have to make updates to links that you create and you put in PowerPoint. So let's go back over to Excel and show you how to initiate those changes. I'm going to use some of the formatting tools within UpSlide so that we can make some notable changes when we go to update in PowerPoint. So the first thing I'll do is select our gross margins row. I'm going to go to the UpSlide ribbon. Towards the front of the UpSlide ribbon, I'm going to press on line styles, and I'll choose a sub-result margins. The next thing I'll do is change some colors in our chart. So I'm going to click on our 2021 bar, go to our format collection at the beginning of our UpSlide ribbon, and in the paint can, use one of our pre-configured colors. And the last thing I'll do is change our date from July to March. Okay, so now that we have actioned all of our updates within our Excel book, let's go over to PowerPoint. We'll notice that those changes haven't been done yet, and that's because we need to update our links. So you have two options. One is to update one at a time, and the other option is to update all at once. So for example, let's highlight our text link, go to our data collection, and press the big green square to update that text. And within seconds, our March data or our March date has added to our presentation. To do this all at once, what you'll do is go back to the data collection, press update all, and a pop-up will appear with all links in your presentation for you to do all at once. There's a lot of information here that you can use when updating. So it'll tell you what slide the link is on. These icons to the right of them indicate what type of link they are. So T is a text link, these bars are a chart, and the grid is a table. You have the name of your chart, when it was last updated, and by whom. So in order to update all of them, all I'll need to do is select all, press update. We'll get a confirmation here in green saying that it's been updated, but when we minimize the screen, we'll see those changes have taken effect. So now that we have gone over how to create each type of link and update both ways, I'm sure you have some questions around our link, and what we've done is compiled a frequently asked questions about our link. So let's go through that together now. The first question that we typically get is, will my Excel to PowerPoint break if I move or rename my Excel file? And the answer is no. UpSlide is very robust to name changes and location changes. UpSlide works and the update feature works with whatever Excel book you have open to either your PowerPoint or Word that you have open. Kind of connected, what happens to my link in PowerPoint or Word if my Excel changes versions? And because UpSlide is so robust to changes in file and name locations, you're able to version very quickly and easily. So for example, let's say you have a Q1 report that you are hoping to update with Q2 data, but you don't want to override your Q1 data. What you can do is duplicate your Q1 report, save it as a Q2 report, and then open up your Q2 data in Excel and update using the update all feature I just showed, and it will showcase all the links in your deck. You just update as normal and making sure that your Q2 data in Excel is open, and that's how you'd successfully version, and you can go on to V3, V4, Q3, Q4, etc. And in the same breath, am I able to return to previous versions? The answer is yes, you are able to, and because of the exact reason I explained a little bit earlier. The updates occur from the Excel book that you have opened to the PowerPoint or Word that you have opened. So to return to a previous version, all you would need to do is make sure that that previous version is opened in Excel. That book is open, and you can update as normal using the update all feature again. UpSlide will notify you saying that you are updating from a previous version. You can go ahead and ignore that and continue on, and that's how you would be able to return to a previous version. Okay. The next question we get a lot is, can I hide or unhide rows and columns without changing my visual? And the answer is yes, you can. There's another tool called Advanced Export that I'm going to show you how to use. I'm going to exit out of my presentation mode and go to my next slide. And I have two placeholders here because I want to show you the difference between our classic export and almost like a refresher of what we just did earlier compared to our advanced export. So I'm going to select our placeholder like we did before, go into Excel, and this is a perfect example of how our advanced export tool will be helpful for linking over a table like this. Let's say a client or your managing director asks you to create a deliverable based on a part of this table. So for instance, they will only want consumer data. What I can do is hide these other sectors, copy or highlight our data set, go to our export and resize collection, press export and resize, and in PowerPoint, you'll see that our traditional link has been added, so the classic link is on the right-hand side. Let's showcase how to do our advanced export. I'll highlight or click into our placeholder where we want the export to go. Go back to Excel. This time, instead of pressing resize and export, I'm going to go to the advanced export option in the data collection. And there's a few questions we'll need to answer. One is where we want this to export to. We're going to say PowerPoint. And then there's a few formatting questions that we'll need to answer. So do you want it to resize? We can press yes. But this second option is the most important. We want to make sure that this is turned on so that the cells preserve its current visibility. So regardless of updates or changes that happen in Excel, exactly the way this link looks now is how it will be in your presentations and stay in your link. And the bottom option is another formatting question. We'll preserve the width in PowerPoint. We can press OK. And now going back to PowerPoint, you'll see both of our tables are here, both only still showing consumer data. But let's say, for example, that client asked you to update some more parts of this table, or maybe you have more information that needs to be updated for a different time. Going back into Excel, I'll unhide these groups and I'll start adding in more market value for the technology sector for these companies. And I need to change a few things. So I'm in here and I needed to view the cells that were hidden. Let me show you what happens when we go update in PowerPoint. So as a refresher, we'll go to the top part of the UpSlide ribbon to the update all. And I'll make sure we update the slides that are the links that we just created. So both the links on slide 12. Press OK. We'll get our confirmation. We'll minimize the screen. And now you'll see the difference. Our classic export, because we unhid those cells, and because we were going in and making changes to that large table, has now been updated to what it looks like in Excel. But because we use advanced feature, the advanced export feature on the right-hand side, that table maintained its visibility and did not change. So this tool allows you to link one table multiple times in many different ways. So you can slice the data however you'd like. This is extremely handy for very large tables. So you don't have to, one, copy and paste these tables to different parts or different workbooks, but two, you can make sure, regardless of any types of updates or changes that occur in Excel, that the visibility stays the same and only your relevant data is showing. Okay. As a recap, we've gone over our text link, our chart link, our table link, how to update those, and then the main differences between our classic export and advanced export. We'll move on to charting tools, and specifically our waterfall chart and our Kager arrow. So minimizing my screen again, I'm going to go into Excel. And those of you who are familiar with making waterfall charts or make them frequently, you know it could be very tedious and also time consuming. They can take up to 15, 20 minutes at least to create a chart and properly branded chart. So what I'll do is show you how UpSlide makes your life much easier and allows you to create waterfall charts within seconds and literally 2 clicks of a button. So what I'll do is highlight our data set, go to the UpSlide ribbon, and this time in the charts collection, press the drop down and select waterfall. And within seconds, you have a properly branded waterfall chart and a beautifully created waterfall chart for you with 2 clicks of a button. Now, let's say you need to make edits to this waterfall chart. You can do so, like let's, for example, say I'm going to remove that row. You'll notice that the waterfall chart did not update. All you'll need to do is right-click on the waterfall chart, press Select Source Data. We'll reselect or arrange again, press OK, and now our data has been updated. You're probably thinking, well, why wouldn't I just create another chart if it takes 2 clicks of a button? You absolutely can. This is just a trick that I like to show in case you already have this linked in a presentation already. You don't have to create another link for it. You can just update from PowerPoint. It saves you a little bit of time. Okay, and same goes for the Kager arrow. I know those of you who work with them a lot and create them a lot knows it's time consuming. So again, it makes it so easy for you to quickly add your Kager charts, Kager arrows. So what I'll do is select our net sales table, go to our charts dropdown, press our Kager arrow, and within seconds you have a Kager arrow that follows your data and is added perfectly within your chart. Okay. Going back to our PowerPoint. Seb, Maxime, do we have any questions that we'd like to address?
Thanks, Lizzie. There have been a couple of questions in the chat, and we replied to most of them so far. But I think some of them are quite interesting probably to all of you. So for example, one of the questions was if the placeholders that we used in PowerPoint are text boxes. And the answer is, in our case, these were content placeholders, and you can technically use any placeholder, be it content, text, or image placeholder, to link or use our link. You can also use any text box or shape or any object in PowerPoint that sits on top of your slide as a placeholder for these links, and these should just work fine. Some other questions were around sizing guide and sizes of different images. So first of all, you can use the sizing guide in Excel to get an idea of how large your placeholder is. But otherwise, you don't need to use that every single time. Like our link, if you use this resize option, is able to resize it automatically to the size of your placeholder. And one other heads up is that the link sometimes is dependent on the zoom or screen settings you have. So this includes the number of screens you use, the zoom level in Excel, the zoom level in PowerPoint. We don't expect many problems based on these settings, but there are some tips and tricks on our support website, which is support.upslide.net. And I think, yeah, these are the majority of the questions. And maybe since we have a couple of minutes, you still have the time to put your questions into the chat if you have any. But maybe we can also run to one or two of the more commonly asked questions, which is, for example, are the links increasing my file size? Lizzie answered this question kind of early on in the session. Since we're using enhanced meta files, so this is kind of an image file, we are not increasing the file size, so the file size should remain quite small. You can easily send it around via email. And yeah, this is the big advantage of these enhanced meta files. If you share your PowerPoint and Excel with colleagues of yours who also have access to UpSlide, they can also edit these links. So because we're storing the ID of these links in these meta files, your colleagues can work with the links. They can edit data in Excel and update everything in PowerPoint. So it really is able to support cross-collaboration as well. And yeah, I think you have still a couple of minutes left, so feel free to put your questions into the chat. But otherwise, back to you, Lizzie.
Okay, thank you. Those were great questions. All right. A few notes that we want to share with you. One is you can access help right from the UpSlide ribbon. So on the far right-hand side, there'll be an option that's a help button, which is a question mark with a circle around it. You can contact support right from within the UpSlide ribbon. So if you have an issue, you can log a ticket right there. And as Seb was mentioning about the Help Center, you're able to access that right from there as well. So there's a drop down that you'll be able to click on, and they'll have a lot of articles for your reference as well as tutorial videos. And lastly, make sure to get in touch with us if you think that maybe more training would be beneficial for you and your team. Also, to provide feedback, you should be receiving a pop-up for a poll. If you haven't already, please make sure that you fill that out for us. We'd greatly appreciate that. And with any other feedback or if you need more team trainings, please reach out to Liz. She will be happy to assist. And thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.